This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. The Sundance Film Festival likes to sell itself as a sanctuary for independent film, an antidote to Hollywood excess where unknown filmmakers take real risks. But this year's festival gets markled. The dastardly duo showed up in Park City, Utah yesterday to support and promote their film Cookie Queens with Sunshine Sax in tow. Meghan Markle's presence is landing less as genuine support for indie creators and more as another carefully managed visibility and image rebrand. And just like what we saw back in 2016, Sunshine Sax is trying it again, positioning Meghan with the young, impressionable youth, positioning her as some kind of female role model that coming-of-age girls can look up to. And quite frankly, I find that very scary. This impression deepens when Archwell appears to have tacked its name onto Cookie Queens at what looked like the 11th hour. Here is the director admitting that.
And we actually started at Sundance through the Catalyst program and got support from the Sundance Doc Film Fund and have an incredible group of executive producers. And most recently that includes Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and their production company, Archwell Productions, and their whole really wonderful and supportive team.
I think by now we should expect this. I mean, is anybody really surprised that Harry and Meghan didn't back this project from ground up and just slap their names on it on the tail end, now taking credit for all of it? It's hypocrisy at its finest. Yeah, this couple using Sundance's cultural cachet to signal relevance while doing little to honor the festival's original spirit of independence and first-time directors who are starting out that have no budget. The mere fact that Meghan and Harry are making these people address them by their titles in itself just shows like how disconnected these two are from the reality that America doesn't give a shit about these titles, especially not at Sundance. It's the last place to be coming across as classists. I mean, you can pull that off at the Cannes Film Festival, but not at Sundance. It's a totally different crowd. I am genuinely disgusted with Meghan Markle's exploitation of the Girl Scouts brand now to capture and influence impressionable girls, to indoctrinate them with this radical leftist ideology, who ultimately the goal is to get them to become lifelong Democrats, otherwise known as Marxist communists. Because let's be real here, folks, this is what this couple have been pushing. I've always called this out about this couple, but Meghan Markle more so than ever. She is a predator. And I hate that this woman preys on vulnerable children. You know, the children that come from broken families or abused households, low income. And she knows that they are the easiest to manipulate. And that's what makes this woman so evil. You can see it in those beady little rat eyes that she has. But going back to this film now, you only have to look at the director and the people behind making this film to understand the agenda. What really irks me about this is that they have infiltrated Girl Scouts of America using their brand without even getting their permission, meaning Girl Scouts of America is not endorsing this film. You can see at the very bottom, in very small print, to avoid being sued, it says here, all product and company names are trademarks of their respective owners, including, without limitation, Girl Scouts of the United States of America. Their use does not imply any affiliation or endorsement.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that Cookie Queens is perhaps the cutest film at the festival. And I know this is a documentary, but you're going to see real star power in this film. So get ready for that. This is an earnest portrait of girls and their family, of ambition, love, and tenacity. And I don't want to say too much because before we welcome our director, I want to invite a very special guest on stage. Can you please join me in welcoming Meghan, Duchess of Sussex?
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you guys guys so much for being here bright and early. I know some of you probably had late nights last night, so extra thanks for the effort. Nothing that a little cookies and coffee can't help. Look, my husband and I and R12 Productions, we are so proud and privileged to be able to support and uplift Cookie Queens. This film, yes, is probably the cutest at the festival, but I'm also going to go out on a limb and say it is one of the most powerful and meaningful depictions of something that is an American tradition and rooted in nostalgia, but is now put through this lens from the incredible creative vision of Alyssa to show something modernized about the girlhood experience and all the layers and complexity that come with that. So yes, it's cute, and yes, these young ladies are fantastic and adorable, but they are also layered, beautiful girls who are about to become very strong leaders and young women.
You notice Meghan never says mothers or wives, and that's because they don't see family as the core foundation of what makes a strong, independent, confident woman. You remove the family unit, and you remove the element of God, the result is getting more Meghan Markles in this world. And this is the problem. This woman is a cancer on society.
So thank you for supporting that. A huge thanks to our team at R12 Productions, Chanel, Wesley, Q, we love you guys, thank you so much for everything. Josh Braun, Maggie Pisacane, and then of course the producers. This film is such a labor of love they have worked on for a couple of years, and with all of the hundreds of hours of trusted fly-on-the-wall material that they were able to capture with these families that let them in and allowed them to show and share their lives and their loves.
And remember, Archwell and Meghan had no involvement with that.
I think the editorial in this that you'll see is also something pretty outstanding. But that is all testament to the talent and expertise of the director, Alyssa Namias, who is here today, and I'm so excited to introduce her to you. Please give her a big round of applause.
So this is what these Marxist communists do to infiltrate and indoctrinate the kids. They literally hijack language in such a way that people let their guard down, thinking that it's harmless or well-intentioned, referring to this film as cute, when the director herself, in a behind-the-scenes interview, says, when asked to describe who she wanted this film to reach, in the second paragraph she says, at its heart, Cookie Queens is about much more than Girl Scout cookies. It's about growing up in a culture of commercialism, where at very young ages, girls are confronted with deeply ingrained beliefs that cuteness sells and that self-worth is tethered to achievements. Sisterhood and trust can help girls thrive despite these challenges. She then goes on to say, when asked, why does this story need to be told now? We are living through a time of seismic societal change with myriad forces tearing at the threads of culture, and our four Cookie Queens remind us how much we all have in common. They inspire hope for the future in polarized times. They come from different regions and life experiences, yet they share determination to succeed at their goals and to be actively engaged with their communities. Girls and women have often led the way towards positive social transformations, and we need their leadership now as much as ever. At the same time, the film's story poses a critical challenge for us to do better for young women. We must listen to them and take their ideas seriously. It's important to ask ourselves how much is enough and to reconsider the daunting expectations that we place on girls. The structures of power and the economic conditions we live within can make it seem like inequality and competition are the only way this world can be organized. However, as we see in Cookie Queens, though children are taught the rules of the economy, they also naturally realize that those rules are not immutable. From an early age, girls question sexism, ableism, and all types of inequity. The film's story asks us to consider how we might follow the next generation's lead towards a brighter future. Can you all take a guess at which political party this director supports? She is one of those captured women that is a lifelong Democrat. They might as well just say that the film is targeted towards the youth to lock them into becoming supporters in the future, because essentially that's what's going on here. You'd be stupid to think that Meghan and, all these leftist Democrats really care about girls and women's rights. We all have to remember that this was the party that looked the other way when over 400,000 migrant children went missing. Either they were forced into slave labor, sex trafficked, and even worse, killed for their organs. But no, this is the party that's championing girls and women's rights, and then also championing for having men in women's spaces. So you can't really take these people seriously. And what worries me is how they are being promoted and injected into society, like right here at Sundance. When you go back to what she said, you can see she's using all those buzzwords that are being used to drive this socialism. They want to take down capitalism. So saying things like the structures of power and the economic conditions, that's in reference to capitalism. Followed by right here where it says inequality and competition are the only way this world can be organized. And she's referencing the merit-based system. So like if you work hard, you should be rewarded for your work versus, okay, maybe you're not as such a hard worker, but because you're Black, you deserve to have the same rewards as someone who busted their tail all their life. This is the bullshit that Harry and Meghan have been pushing. And Meghan would know all about this because she's a basic lazy bitch, and she just wants everything thrown at her feet because she feels entitled to it. Not because she's earned it or worked for it or has any kind of special talent or even the intelligence. The woman is a grifter. And it's this type of language that is being targeted at the youth to groom them and condition them into seeing the world this way. I'm thoroughly disgusted by this because I'm of the belief that Meghan was never a Girl Scout, nor was her mother one of those troop leaders. Meghan gives herself away when she answers these questions in this interview. She was never a Girl Scout, and I'll tell you why in a second, but just listen to this.
It really embeds such great values from the get-go. I was a Girl Scout, my mom was my troop leader, and, I think the value of friendship, of being dedicated to a goal, as you see that in Cookie Queens, it is so reflective of how these girls stick with something that's important to them and don't give up. And self-belief, I think, is a really integral value that comes as being a Girl Scout.
So right off the bat, Meghan, when she says that she was a Girl Scout and her mom was a troop leader, she looks down immediately, and you can see that duper's delight in saying, yeah, I'm lying.
I was a Girl Scout, my mom was my troop leader, and
Totally avoiding eye contact, looking down, and then that duper's delight smile. And to piggyback on top of the deception that we're seeing here is a clip from a video that I did a few months back talking about these photos. Meghan's pushing out hard these Girl Scout photos that are supposed to be of her, but when you look closer, you realize that, once again, she's trying to fool the masses. When you look closer, you can clearly see that they've all been photoshopped. Like, where are Meghan's arms? Seriously, where are they? And when you look at this, you can't unsee it. It's so clearly photoshopped here. Now, when you look at this, who holds a box of cookies like that? That's one thing. The other thing is the bottom photo that came out 7 years ago. What's going on here? Why are they standing there without their sashes? And who is the little boy standing next to Meghan? This is a big flag. If you're going out to sell cookies, and trust me, I know because I was a brownie myself, you had to wear your troop number and your pin to show that you were really representing this organization. Now, if this was anybody other than Meghan Markle, I would be giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, well, maybe this is two separate occasions, because the photo at the bottom where there are no boxes of cookies under that table could have very well been that day that they were taking the orders down. Now, I used to be a brownie myself, so I know this hustle all too well. Each one of us were given this blank sheet in order to go fill out and sell as many boxes of cookies as we could. And the goal was to win stuff. So if you sold 100 boxes, you got a duffel bag. If you sold 250 boxes, you got the stuffed animal seal. Now, that was always the goal for many of us Girl Scouts. We all wanted that stupid stuffed animal. When you look at this picture, if that little boy is really a girl, then they should be wearing a sash at bare minimum. The other thing is that since this was the 80s, at that time, you did not have access to boxes before they were ordered. So you see, coming from someone who actually sold these cookies, who was an actual brownie, I can tell you that the girl standing all the way to the right in what looks like she might be holding a cookie box would be impossible. And even if, let's say, we're supposed to believe that they're holding the Girl Scout order forms to take down cookie orders, those that were Girl Scouts could tell you that those are not the order forms because those order forms are massive. So I go back to saying that these photos are fraudulent. Meghan was not a Girl Scout. You know, when we look at the other photos that Meghan decides to share with the world, you see the ridiculousness of all of these stories now. So one of the new photos that Meghan had gave to the Daily Mail to emphasize that she was this little entrepreneur was this bottom photo of her and these three other girls. But when you look at this photo and you stare at it, things just start popping out. Like what I said earlier with Meghan having no arms. And then in the background, the artwork, you can see that this was clearly manipulated, right? To make it look like they were different photos taken at different times. But it's just a cut and paste job. Look at the photo with Doria. Doria is sitting on both Meghan and that other child, and she has no arm. And then on top of it, Meghan has her membership pin, but she's not wearing the membership pin, which you're supposed to wear regardless as part of your uniform in the other one. It looks like this, thing was just painted on. So, when you stare at these photos, they get more and more ridiculous over time because this is all of her photos. And, when you look at the absurdities that we are witnessing with things that just don't make any kind of sense and all these lies, there has to be a reason for it. Yes, we know that Meghan wants us to be talking about her, but is it for something else? Yeah, and I think now we know because there is an obvious and clear agenda here. Whoever this woman is has been nothing but a lie, and this Girl Scout story is just another one of those lies. In this next clip, Meghan is asked if she would like to see little Betty be a Girl Scout. Here's her response.
Question, you have a young daughter. She's maybe a little bit too young for scouts at this point. Do you want Lilibet to be part of Girl Scout?
It's interesting. I think we'll continue to explore whatever feels right. But Alyssa's also a mom of a daughter. Yeah. And I think for both of us working on this project has been incredibly special as parents, as mothers, to be able to see something that our girls will be able to watch.
You notice Meghan doesn't really answer this question. She's like, it's interesting. I think we'll explore whatever feels right. Well, Meghan, you were a Girl Scout. The guy specifically asked a simple question. Do you want Lilibet to be part of this wonderful organization called Girl Scouts of America?
Do you want Lilibet to be part of Girl Scout?
It's interesting. I think we'll continue to explore whatever feels right. But Alyssa's also a mom of a daughter. Yeah. And I think for both of us working on this project has been incredibly special as parents, as mothers.
The guy asked a simple question. Do you want Lilibet to be a part of Girl Scouts? If Meghan really knew what she was talking about when it came down to what the Girl Scouts really represent, then she would have said yes, because she literally just got done saying,
it really embeds such great values from the get-go. I was a Girl Scout. My mom was my troop leader. And, I think the value of friendship, of being dedicated to a goal, as you see that in Cookie Queens, it is so reflective of how these girls stick with something that's important to them.
And then she goes rambling on about the movie? He didn't ask you about the movie. He asked you about being a part of a stand-up organization, an organization that you were not a part of, Meghan. I don't care how many photos you continue to Photoshop, Meghan, you're lying. If you truly were a brownie at that time, back in the 80s, then you would have had a different answer than that. Not this indoctrinated crap that you're spitting out right now. Because back then, what they were ingraining in the girls was this mantra. The Brownie Scout promise was, I promise to do my best to love God and my country, to help other people every day, especially those at home. So yeah, Meghan, you don't represent anything that this organization represented. So it's demons like this that have managed to infiltrate into organizations like the Girl Scouts and preying on the impressionable girls to indoctrinate them into this woke DEI mindset, which we are now seeing how destructive it has been. Neither of these women were Girl Scouts, but they are using this organization to exploit it to push their agenda.
and enjoy as well.
Yeah, in fact, the film began with my kids asking me to make a film that they would really want to share with their friends. And then understanding that Girl Scout cookies was a way into
Girl Scout cookies was a way into, and she quickly corrected herself. This is about infiltration.
Girl Scout cookies was a way into looking at girlhood and coming of age in ways that both kids and adults will really relate to.
Yeah, it's very clear in watching these clips that Meghan doesn't care about these girls. This was highly irritating to her, and you can see it on her face and the mask slip a few times, like here. And then you got Harry looking like a fish out of water. He's not standing next to Meghan, which I think gives an indication that these two are not on good terms. They look incredibly pissed off, but Harry's standing all the way on the end and nobody's paying him any attention. Meghan's the same. Like, she's trying to interact with these little girls, but they're not paying her any attention. Like, look at Harry. He is looking to move away from Meghan, not closer to her. You can tell that Meghan is giving Harry the cold shoulder because she is completely ignoring him. And Harry does look bothered by it, especially having to stand all the way on the end and even off to the side. Meghan looks annoyed all the way around, especially with the couple pictures being taken with the director, and the director is like, okay, ready to just get off the red carpet, and Meghan gives her this look like, no, we're not done yet. Yeah, the energy is totally off with these two. I think they're at the very end of this relationship, and they can't stand each other. Will Sunshine Sachs be able to save this sinking ship? Most likely not. So, yeah, Meghan is a liar. I don't buy the story that she was a Girl Scout, because clearly you see how none of the things that she was saying even came close to what the Girl Scouts are about. Combine the Photoshop photos and Meghan's history of lying, I think we just need to add this to the list. But what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
Such a fraud.